Good afternoon, new hire. Welcome to the Louisiana Property Assistance Agency, also known as LPAA, also known as Surplus Central. My name is James Young, and I'm the Director of General Services for the state of Louisiana. In that role, I manage a couple of state agencies, including LPAA. We're very excited to have you on board, and I truly look forward to your contributions to our team. Your orientation today is going to be handled by Group 17. That's a group of fantastic people that consists of Malin, Joelle, Nathan, Daniel, and me, James. You can just call me Sir, though. Going into the orientation, today we're going to be focusing on an analysis of our business processes, the information system's impact on the business process, and the lessons learned and the recommendations that you may have to how we can better operate and use the AMP system in how we do what we do. We're very serious about what we do here at LPAA, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to read our mission statement. This is what keeps us focused and reminds us on why we work so hard. So if you would, just take a moment and read through that statement, and I'll get back to you in just a second. So let's talk a little bit about our primary function here at LPAA. We provide accountability of the state's movable property using sound management practices, ensuring that all state agencies comply with state property control and fleet management regulations. We provide a savings and return on state and federal monies by passing this merchandise back out to different agencies if they want to reutilize it, or we sell those items, and sometimes we'll reimburse those agencies for some of the funds that they spent. What are you going to be doing here? Well, you're going to be in charge of maintaining the asset management platform system. This is the information system used by all of the agencies that rely on us to track their movable assets. AMP tracks the movable assets through their entire life cycle, from the time they're purchased to the time they're sold at surplus or reissued to another agency. Once a government agency is ready to remove the movable asset from their inventory, they transfer them to us. We take ownership of the asset, and at that point, we're responsible for everything that happens to it. The AMP system is critical in maintaining accurate records of all the assets that are held by LPA and other agencies within the state of Louisiana. Up next, Nate's going to talk to you guys about our business process analyst.
Hi, my name is Nate Wolf. Now we're going to talk about the business process. First part of the business process, the LPAA is accountable for the transfer and disposal of the state's movable assets. Not only can they transfer assets to the LPAA from state agencies, we can also reallocate to other state agencies those assets. In that time, there's a 45-day window for other state agencies to purchase used equipment from other agencies. Once that 45-day window is passed, we are able to sell assets via live auction or online auctions. Now we're going to look at the value chain. These are the primary functions. First off, we'll talk about inbound logistics. The transfer agency, somebody outside of the LPAA within the state of Louisiana, can send the movable asset to the LPAA headquarters in Baton Rouge. The LPAA can also send out a truck and optimize a route to pick up multiple movable assets throughout the state so that they can be brought back to the Baton Rouge office. And finally, the sellers or the transfer agencies can sell on site for the buyer. This is via online auctions, and the buyer then picks up the asset as is where it is located. Next, we're going to look at operations. The key in operations in the Baton Rouge warehouse, sorting and loading of movable assets is important because there's the possibility that different equipment comes in. The equipment needs to be lotted in similar groupings, so people aren't buying various items just to get one thing that they're interested in. Also, all inventory that comes into the LPAA headquarters is tracked through the AMP platform. The transfer ownership to the LPAA, and then from there to its final destination, a third-party buyer. Outbound logistics, relatively simple. GovDeals allows us to sell the product where it's at via the web auction. The warehouse team will load up all the live auction items at the point of sale to help create space on the lot for new incoming movable assets. This is critical because space is limited at the LPAA warehouse location, so getting that equipment or movable assets moved quickly helps create room for the next auction. And then we look at marketing and sales. Web-based marketing, Craigslist ads, LPA website, and regional publications are all used to help promote the online sales and the live auctions. Online auctions are also publicized through the govdeals.com, where folks can go through there and look at not only products from Louisiana, but from across the country. But one of the key factors for marketing and sales is the consistency of live auctions. They do it the second Saturday of every month, so buyers around the state and even the outside states purchase materials at the auction consistently. And finally, the service. The LPA provides us one resource to offload these movable assets from Louisiana government agencies. Again, a good example of this is police department. Instead of them focusing on trying to sell old vehicles, they can allow the LPA to do that for them and focus on what their key objectives are. Next, I'm going to pass this over to Malin to discuss the secondary value chain.
All right, guys, my name is Malin. I'm going to take you through the secondary value chain operations. First up, we have the infrastructure. So LPAA hosts auctions in two types of ways, in which Nate mentioned earlier. You have live auctions and then you have online auctions. The live auctions are held from the Baton Rouge warehouse located in Baton Rouge. The online auctions are as is, where is, so wherever the assets are, that's where they're sold from, and the customer has to pick them up. The live auctions are managed by a third party, and that third party contract is renewed on an annual basis, and it's up for bid. So whoever proposes the best deal, the best rate for LPAA will win the bid. Next, we have technology. So as mentioned earlier, you're going to be handling the asset management platform, so AMP. AMP handles assets cradle to grave. What that means is from the moment it's purchased, that asset gets logged into AMP, and it's managed all the way through its life cycle until it's sold to an end user, a customer outside of the state agency. So AMP helps to financially transfer the assets, manage depreciation costs, evaluate effectiveness of that asset. It's also a tool to manage and track all necessary documents needed to stay in compliance with state policies. Next up, we have human resources. LPAA has 39 employees, 22 administration, 17 warehouse and logistics employees. We have procurement. So LPAA is unique in that LPAA does not source their product. They're not looking for vendors. They're not shopping around trying to get things at a cheaper rate as you would see in a normal manufacturing business. Someone who produces a good, LPAA, receives their inventory from state agencies. State agencies are required to hand that inventory over to LPAA to manage. And the critical success factors for this process to work within AMP, there are several things that need to be done right. Number one, accurate logging of the asset information to AMP. So whenever that asset is purchased, it's critical that serial numbers, purchase order information, everything is entered appropriately into AMP so that it can be accurately depreciated, tracked, and managed until it's sold. The second critical success factor for this process is inventory accuracy. Whenever the assets are returned to LPAA to be auctioned off or turned over to another state agency. LPAA receives that inventory into their Baton Rouge warehouse. If that inventory is not maintained accurately and it's lost or not accounted for appropriately, meaning it was auctioned off in a lot and more was given in that lot than they said they did in the system, LPAA now has to hold that inventory cost on their books for the next 3 years and saying that they can't find it for the next 3 years. So that impacts them financially. The third critical success factor is aging inventory. One of the constraints for LPAA is the warehouse capacity. So the longer inventory ages, the less space we have to bring in new inventory. So a target is to turn over our inventory within 60 to 90 days. Obviously, we can't do it before 45 days because that's the minimum amount of time we're required to hold on to the inventory to allow other state agencies to decide if they want to pick up that asset or not. Looking at a couple of external opportunities and threats. So opportunities with AMP, there's the potential for new customers outside of state agencies. Obviously, these customers would not be required to use LPAA, but the service that we provide here makes it very convenient for people to auction off their items hassle-free. So there is that ability for us to reach new customers out and even outside of the state, all across the U.S. Another opportunity, increasing our utilization of gov deals that would reduce our logistics costs, increase our customer base. Gov deals, anyone can log into gov deals and see what's up for auction, no matter if they're sitting in Louisiana, Florida, New York, it doesn't matter. So increasing that would increase exposure. A couple of threats that we have are online third-party auction companies such as Municibid and a few others. So Municibid does a lot for the federal government already. So there's always a chance that they could take business from us in the future. Another threat is the movement of buying assets to leasing assets. So an example of this would be a state agency deciding instead of buying laptops, they're going to lease the laptops. If they lease them, then we would never log that into AMP because the state wouldn't own that asset.
Hi, my name is Villamaino, and we're going to be discussing how IS supports the process at the LPAA. AMP system is the IS system for the LPAA. Until very recently, agencies across the state were very disorganized in how they were keeping track of their inventory. They were using individualized spreadsheets for their departments that were not put together in any sort of systematic way. Some actually had index cards that had handwritten notations on them, in card catalogs. It was very inefficient. And since they've done away with the fragmented databases and the asystematic way of keeping those records, AMP manages property data and insurable values across the state. It tracks and catalogs and safeguards all the information regarding surplus state movable assets statewide. There we go. And how it works is AMP tracks the existence of every piece of movable property owned by every state agency in Louisiana. This coverage is cradle to grave and mail-in, I mentioned earlier, and what that means is that AMP catalogs the original date, location, and price of every asset, the date that it was delivered, all the use sites that that piece of equipment saw, the hours of service that was in use, its repair history, its declaration of surplus, its depreciation in value, which is an added bonus. AMP will calculate how much each asset depreciates in value on an annual basis so that we can keep track of our collective value of assets. And then finally, AMP will track the final disposition of the asset, which is the sale to an outside agency. All of the surplus movable assets are documented and easily found. Another feature of AMP would be of great use to you is that it actually not only tracks the entire surplus state movable assets, but it arranges them in easy to search and easy to export categories. You get the assets controlled by the LPAA range all across the board, from heavy-duty trucks to scrap metal to surplus hospital equipment, large and small, to computer hardware, virtually anything and everything that can be transported that is used and owned by state agency will at some point be processed through LPAA. And the AMP system allows you to group those for better reporting and more easy tracking. And so now we're going to turn you over to Joelle.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joelle Williams, and I know you guys have heard so much about the wonderfulness of LPAA and the AMP system. Now I'm going to walk you through our lessons learned and potential recommendations. Lessons learned. After the implementation of the AMP system, the LPAA increased productivity by 100%. Earlier, you heard about how information and documents were written in card catalogs and filing cabinets. Now, LPAA has their information in the database of the AMP system, and they're able to track all of their items from the beginning to the end. This improved their productivity and managed their loss. The next lesson learned was that the information system isn't the best product all by itself. Now, we all talked about how wonderful AMP is, but the service that LPAA provides, coupled with the AMP system, allows for the suppliers and customers to have the best service that they can. And customers continue to go back to these auctions both in person and online because they know LPAA has quality service and quality products. The use of the AMP system by LPAA has led to the state of Louisiana declaring the AMP system as the state's official database system for movable assets, and it is used within all of the state agencies. Now to the recommendations. The first recommendation is to implement a predictive analytics tool into the LPAA business process. The LPAA determines what items or assets will be sold in person or online based on historical data. However, this historical data isn't really written down. It's passed from employee to manager. For example, we're not going to sell a helicopter in a live auction, but we will sell it online. There's nothing written or in a manual about this. An analytics tool will be able to give this information and have it readily available for anyone who needs it. Next is to collaborate with govdeals.com to design a more visually appealing user interface for online auctions. The LPAA and govdeals.com can work together to create a sort of a skin for the govdeals.com site to create it to be more user-friendly. And lastly, LPAA, we can create our own website that can rival govdeals.com or any third-party auction site that we would control and reap the benefits of selling those products all on our own. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you had a wonderful time and learned a lot during your orientation. See you guys on your first day of work.